Okay, thank you again, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have our first module of our advanced training, and what we're going to do is cover the math channels for Dran-View. The math channels are extremely important. They have the ability to basically do Excel-like functions, and you can take the data and information recorded by your instrument and add value to it. You have the ability to use your voltage waveforms, your current waveforms, even your RMS logging and journaling from your instruments, and create a different, additional formulas and parameters from that. So before we get started, I just want to highlight that when we talk about math channels, and this also applies to the harmonic and time plot calculator that we'll cover in our next section, you just have to be aware of that there's some differences in between the way that your instrument may record data and the way that Dran-View may use its formulas and capabilities to recompute information. And a good example of that is that the instruments, our power quality instruments such as HDPQ, they follow international standards, and the most important is IEC 61000-4-30 Class A. And that really tells us as a manufacturer how we digitize, how we sample, and the windowing and things like that. And it defines certain things like what's called half cycle stepping, where you take one AC waveform, and you're always looking at one AC waveform on our RMS detection and triggering. However, you're stepping or advancing by a half a cycle. You also have 200 millisecond data, and that means that for harmonics and other things, we're looking at 10 or 12 cycles at a time and grouping them in 200 millisecond windows. The reason why that's important to this conversation is because the instrument records with that half cycle stepping and the 200 millisecond windows. However, when we try to reproduce some of the information and do some of the calculations in Dran-View, it's looking one cycle at a time typically. So there may be some differences in windowing and precision. So you may get slightly different results from what you computed in the instrument to what Dran-View may recompute in the math package and also in the harmonic and time plot calculator. However, just note that you're probably using the math package and the harmonic and time plot calculator to compute parameters that were not provided by you in the instrument, and we'll use those as examples. So I wanted to just throw that out there to just recognize that there are differences in precisions and methods, slight differences that may cause slight differences in the information that you view. Okay, so let's get started. The math channels, they're basically treated like any other channel in the instrument. So let's open up a file, and this is going to be the step load file that we've used in prior Dran-View training seminars. And what this step load file is, this is from a generator commissioning from one of our large customers. So, okay, we're going to go and show you what this file really is. So I'm going to go to the properties, and I'm going to show you just single phase for voltage and current. And this will be a very good opportunity to show you what this file is. So what you see here, oops, let me just change this a second. The current didn't turn on for some reason. So here, and this is a step load commissioning at, I believe, a data center location. So this is a generator test, and they're on generator, and they're adding 25% steps in their current. And what they're doing is they're looking at the effect on the voltage from the generator, three-phase, but also the frequency and other items on there. So these have very large post triggers. This is a very, very good test file and demonstration file for us, and this will become especially important later when we talk about our harmonic and time plot tool. So when we want to talk about the math package, we have to go to view the channel properties. And again, as we spoke about it in our basic training, you can either double click in a blank area of any one of these plots, or you could just go right click and then properties. And here's where I can enable or disable any channel. You just saw that before, but you'll see down on the bottom here in Dran-View Enterprise only, the math channels. And here's what I was referring to before. You can add your own formulas to Dran-View. So you can take the information recorded by your instrument, usually our HDPQ, PX5 family, or something that records wave shapes, and you can add value to it. And I have two formulas already established here. We'll show you how to create a new one, but I have one that's going to recompute the RMS of our AB phase. This is a three-phase delta. and also one that's going to produce the voltage average. So what's the average of your AB, BC, and CA voltage? So just as some examples. So to create a math channel, I go right up here and create a new math channel. And you can see I have this little dialog box that shows up, and here's the actual formula that we're going to create. Over here is the name of the parameter that we're going to give it. And here are the units that the parameter is going to be measured in. So if I want to do something in volts, it's going to be volts. So let's reproduce that RMS calculation that we had before. So if you see over here, here are the channels that we're going to include in our formula, and here are the operands that we're going to have. So we have different functions that we can apply. And if you pull down the list, you have mathematical functions, you have trigonometric functions, electrical functions, logical functions. You can customize your own functions, and there's also some miscellaneous functions as well. So you can have basic add, subtract, multiply, divide. So some of these same basic tools that Excel has through a little bit different of an interface to produce your own formulas. So let's show you an example, because that's probably the best way to do it. So I want to produce RMS. So I'm going to say RMS. I'm going to pull that from the electrical parameters, and I'm going to electrical functions. So I'm going to click add. You can see it started that. These are just like the at whatever functions, at sum, whatever in Excel. So very similar. So now I have to do my math on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the channels. Now, what channel and what parameter do I want to act on as the channels for this? So, well, first of all, I'm going to choose a site. So if I have multiple sites loaded, this is my selection for the site that I want to grab my channels from. I only have one site, so we see our step load test. Here are the values. This is extremely important. So I can choose a min, max, and average, or just the value. In this case, maybe the wave shapes, or maybe the actual value that was computed and stored at the time that the journal was entered. So I'm going to select value, and I'm going to select my AB voltage. So this is the wave shape that was recorded by the instrument on the AB phase. And I'm going to say add. So you can see that shows up just like we built it over here, the AB phase. If I wanted to select the B phase, the C to A phase, I can do current. And you can see as I kind of go down this list of what I have available to me. So this is basically most of the measured parameters by the instrument you can include in your math channels. So I'm going to finish this off. You can see I have my RMS function. It started automatically with the open parenthesis, just like good programming practices. I need to close that out. So you can see I have a valid formula here. There are no warnings or errors computed here. It will tell you, Dran-View will tell you if it thinks that you made a mistake in your configuration or you have a syntax error here. So I'm going to give this a name, and I'm going to say new, if I can type right, new RMS calc is just the name, and I'm going to make the units V. Okay. So I simply clicked OK. Oops, what did I do wrong? Something I forgot to tell you. You can only have letters, numbers, and underscores in your names, no spaces. Exactly. Thank you, Thurman. And that's what I did. I added spaces to that. So it's a little gotcha there. Click OK. And you can see I now created this parameter called new RMS calculated voltage. And if I want to go edit this or any one of them, I just simply highlight the formula or go hover over the formula, double click. And this is the math thing that I added before, which is the same formula that I had beforehand. So you can do various things. You can again choose any category of mathematical functions, trigonometric functions, again, sine, cosine, different things like that, to create your own custom parameters. So you can do a lot of math and a lot of advanced analysis. Some things that a lot of customers may take offline with Dran-View and do in MathCAD or some of the other advanced packages. So you may be able to do this within the confines of Dran-View Enterprise. So how do I look at this information? So you really treat this like now it's a channel. Okay, so you've created a new channel and you enable or disable these channels just like clicking next to them, just like any channel. So let's go look at this is the math formula that I created earlier. So I selected math VRMS AB. It's again the exact one that I created before. Now let's go look at that in comparison to what's been recorded by the instrument. So if I click basic metering and I just have the AB phase selected and I click OK, you can see it's computing it now. And now you can see this is the RMS computed. Here's what came from the instrument, and here's what I just recomputed in Dran-View. So you could see they're the exact same envelope, see the exact same scale, 550 max here, 300 minimum. So we've recomputed that RMS. All right, very, very powerful feature. And if you look as another capability, if I go right click and properties, go back to the math channel, I'm going to turn that off and I'm going to look at my V average formula that I had. And if I just show you that, this is just the average of phase A plus phase B, or AAB, BC plus CA divided by 3. I just wanted a simple RMS average of that. So I enable that. I click OK. Dran-View is going to do some computations. And now this is the average of those phases. So if you actually look, then you'll see they're slightly different than what you see, which is just the AB phase here. So that's an example of how you do your math package and how you enter formulas into Dran-View. In addition to that, once you've created this formula, and again, this is my custom name here, I have all the capabilities in renaming things, changing the fonts, doing whatever other things I can do, annotation, to customize your new parameter that has been recorded here. So, and that is the math package. We'll just go bring it up one more time just to summarize. To get to the math channels, you just highlight the math channel. Okay, again, here's our regular channels that you can enable or disable. Highlight the math channels. If you already have the formula, you can add them, subtract them just by simply clicking them. Let's say you want to get rid of one. You highlight over here and you can see the delete button. So I go and select delete. It's going to confirm you want that deleted. And you can see I'm back down to what I started before. You could also save these off if you want. So you can save off these formulas and load them into another site if you have. If you come up with some standard equation that you have, you can save them off, open up a completely unrelated site, and then load these back in, and magically they'll be there, just like you can load in stuff with Excel.